Hello everyone, my name is Jesse Clark. I'm a third-year student at Ringling College of Art and Design in Photography and Imaging. And my series, My Beautiful, as you see back here, will be displaying at SPAACES Foundation, a nonprofit organization. So I was kind of reflecting on my experience sort of as a black male in America and seeing how black males were depicted in media and sort of just thinking about how I view myself versus how maybe the news kind of shows that are the same kind of people. Oftentimes, when you see black men, even if you just search it on like Google or something, you see a lot of mug shots or kind of things that depict them as criminals, and you don't see the sort of excellence that black men may have as well. There's the artist or the dancer, whatever it may be. There's just much more than what we're so used to seeing. Kind of what drew me to start the series, My Beautiful, is to showcase a different side of the black male image that people don't typically see, and something that I found true within my own self, and I wanted to put out into the world for others to be able to see as well. That's also, I felt, was important for younger black children to kind of see and be able to look up to see themselves as more than what the news shows, and just to see the beauty within themselves. Because that's something that I never really saw for myself. I struggled with my own image, and that's kind of inspired the title, My Beautiful. It's how do I look in comparison to how everyone thinks I look? And I think children should have something they can look up to and think is beautiful as well. Some of the inspiration, just kind of for the imagery and the series, was through poetry and looking at lines from Langston Hughes. And for example, there's a line like through dark eyes, and I wanted to do the sort of series that kind of reflected that idea of myself through my own eyes. Then from there, kind of setting up the portrait. And with a lot of my photography, I use, as you can see, like flowers, because you don't typically see that with the male portrait. And I think there's sort of this deeper connection when you have something that's traditionally, often seen as more, I guess, aggressive, kind of combined with something that's so peaceful. And as I kind of mentioned before, this sort of depiction as the black male as being aggressive, I wanted to sort of showcase that with something that was, that we kind of connect to peace and sort of serenity and beauty, and that's the flowers, and that kind of embodies the whole idea, is that they're much more than just that aggressive sort of person that we typically see. And this series in particularly, with the head carrying, it's a tradition in a lot of cultures, and more specifically Haitian culture. That's something they do, and I wanted to kind of show and switch the gender roles on that, as it's usually a more female-dominated thing, and that kind of drew the inspiration for this. And I kind of got together the flowers and put together these baskets, and I always utilize some of my friends in these portraits. So as you see here, these are just other students on campus, and they all have their own majors and passions, but we come together to kind of collaborate and create this sort of imagery. And they're on this same idea, and they kind of back up my mission of kind of showing the black male in a different light. So that's kind of the process behind. And as far as lighting goes, it kind of it varies. And a lot of my portraiture is through the studio, but the ones on the edge, and particularly with the head carrying, those were kind of done outside, scouting locations that had the very colorful walls that fit the schemes that we were putting together in the clothing. Yeah. So I of course started into art as, I guess, a painter and a graphic designer, but photography we see as something that really captures the world, and just a millisecond. And I thought that was would be a nice tool to sort of use and kind of capture a different part of the world, and we kind of connect photography in a way with truth almost, because it's like it seems to be the closest thing to real life. So how could I use that sort of medium to capture my truth? And that's kind of why I picked up photography, is because I kind of felt that was the best way I could have the sort of conversations I wanted to have and show the work that I wanted to create. And it also allows me to really still be hands-on and to build the sets that we see, or the clothing and the headdresses. I guess who holds the camera is often an important question. And just really wanting to showcase my own truth and represent Black males, that's, I figured it should come from, me or one of us, because through that we're able to kind of tell stories that not everyone might be familiar with. And there's that sort of authenticity there. And I think it's just important for anyone to kind of have their voice and kind of tell their story. And the more we sort of do that, the more we kind of can understand a little more about each other and kind of create that sort of sense of unity that we long for. So, and that's something I also want to encourage through younger artists as well, because I think there's this idea that when we reach a certain age is when we can start displaying in galleries or getting our work out there. And I think, for anyone, they could just try and start now. I think the sooner the better to really get out there and show their work, because everyone's voice is important no matter how long you've been in the field, if you want to call it that. There's a lot that we all can contribute. I think it's important for people to come see this exhibition, especially during Black History, is to kind of see two sides of this story. There is sort of representation of kind of the progression that the Black population is trying to make, and that's sort of moving forward. And then there's also the representation of the beauty behind those people. And it's a nice kind of two sides of that sort of coin there. And the SPAACES Foundation is kind of always bringing in unique and creative artists from around the area, and also like of different ages. I just can kind of see, I feel sort of young to be here. So to provide me that opportunity to display as well, it's sort of nice. And it's nothing you typically see of most gallery spaces, because it's kind of for, I guess, if you want to call it, well-established artists. And so SPAACES is doing something where they're providing a space for everyone. And that also shows the importance of everyone having a voice. So I think with any sort of foundation, this is a good one to really support.